Everyone's phone is on silent? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
And if you guys want to share, it's joltradio.org for anyone interested in the audio.
This one won't ring?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
All right,
let me make sure. I thought I just put it on silent.
Chris, you.
I'm just trying to
We're
think
live?
about that.
Okay. Hey everyone, we're live on Meet Them Mondays. This is Daniela Molina. This is Simone Rosso. And this is Alexis Brown. Make sure to tune into joltradio.org at 7 p.m. to listen to the audio, or you could just stay tuned to the video and watch us do our thing. Thank you so much for listening.
It's not.
Is that you, Jay?
No, it's me. How do you turn off the iPhone?
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, because you don't, that's not an iPhone. No, I
This
think
is
you're good.
iPhone.
Yeah,
I thought it was on mute.
like this.
There we go. Thank you. I just
How are your
Can you
headphones?
do it
Is that good? Does it
Huh?
sound good?
My headphones?
Headphones? Like, it's gonna kick in now.
I'll let you know. I can't hear myself right now, obviously.
No, you're not gonna hear it. But
Okay.
music. The music. You
Yeah,
hear
the
it.
music is
It's
good, yeah.
Chris.
Peace world, welcome to Meet Them Mondays, a show about community, culture, and lifestyle in Miami. I'm your host, Cristian Portilla, and I'm here with Alexis Brown of Social Exchange Miami, Simone Rosso of the KGN, and Daniela Molina of Out of Service. And tonight we're talking about how the Rio Miami parties. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yes?
Good.
Awesome. So before we get into tonight's show, I want to share with you all some things I've been up to. On Friday, I was invited to the morning drive on 99.5 FM, and it's the first Haitian-owned station in the nation. We talked about my past coverage of Little Haiti and my journalism career. It was also Miami Beach Pride yesterday, and I did a takeover for Culture Crusaders on Instagram and did a write-up for Miami New Times on the best Pride events in Miami. And so the Pride Party and Parade was yesterday Sunday, and I was thinking about how great it feels to party with people where you feel accepted and where you feel like you identify with them, you know? And you just feel like you feel supported when you're in these environments. And that brings me to tonight's show. So all three of you women host and started music and party events in Miami. But what attracted me to you three is that when I look at your events, I feel like they represent a particular community. They're not exclusive, they're inclusive, right? And they're welcoming to what I say is like the everyday Miamian. And so I like to go around and have each of you introduce yourselves and your event. And Alexis, we can start with you.
Okay, cool. My name is Alexis Brown. I'm the founder and owner of Social Exchange Miami. We have a variety of events and experiences that we curate, but we're most known for De La Soul, which is a 90s, 2000s hip-hop party, hip-hop, reggae, and R&B party, and basically like a throwback party for millennials.
Awesome. And you just celebrated your 1 year this past
3-year anniversary for the
three-year
De La Soul
anniversary.
party. Yeah,
On Saturday.
Yeah.
Isn't
so
that amazing?
it is. It's crazy. And De La Soul is special because the month after I started De La Soul, I actually lost my job. So that's actually my 3-year anniversary being a full-time entrepreneur as well.
Yes.
So this year coming up will be my
congrats.
3 years for that. And I've been doing Social Exchange for 6 years in total this upcoming September.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Daniela.
My name is Daniela, and I'm the creator of Out of Service, and I throw El Perreo, which is a reggaeton party. That started off as like an ode to early 2000s, and it's been slowly evolving to just all reggaeton in general.
Contemporary reggaeton.
Yeah.
I feel like reggaeton now is has been making like a major
Huge,
comeback for
yeah.
us because it fell off for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And as like an avid listener, I stopped and just went completely indie, and now I'm like back to reggaeton.
Mm-hmm.
And how about you, Simi?
Hi, my name is Simone Russell. I work closely with a part of the KGN. Our hashtag and our entire ethos is Caribbean Cool. I work with Jason Panton and Adam Alexander, Silent Addy. Our most notable event is The Shrine. It's a dancehall, Afrobeat, and soca party. And I also work here and there behind the scenes kind of logistics with Adam with his Bashment Collective, doing kind of like a new wave dancehall meets contemporary hipster-esque event. But definitely everything that I do is geared towards the Caribbean community, as you could tell, or you can hear from my accent. I'm not from here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so.
Where are you from? Tell us where you're from.
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
I obviously know
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I was born in Jamaica, but I lived in Miami the bulk of my life. And I think that is why I have that unique perspective, because it's kind of like you're always maybe like too American for the Jamaicans and too Jamaican for the Americans.
Yeah.
So where's that middle ground?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like
you
I
create it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like I could relate to that as a Latina for sure. And earlier when we were talking about the birthday celebrations of your event, I said 1 year because Daniela's event turns a year old, which was El Perreo. Yours was 3 years old. And I wanted to ask you each about hitting these milestones when it comes to events, because when it comes to Miami, Miami can be like so hot and cold at times. Like you can go to an event, you know, month after month, and then all of a sudden nobody goes anymore. So I'm kind of, you know, curious to hear about hitting the first year and even hitting 3 years and how things have evolved and changed. So were you expecting to get to 1 year, or did it kind of just happen, Daniela?
Definitely just happened. I started the first one without even planning on making it a monthly or anything. And I feel like I have so many more ideas for where to take it that I'm like excited. And especially excited because my initial idea for the first year anniversary is not what I did at all. So now I have like something to look forward to.
Yeah.
How did you come up with El Perreo? Like, what made you want to throw that event to begin with, when you even threw the first one?
Yeah, it's like, it's funny because it's exactly what you mentioned earlier. So basically it just happened from me going out and listening to things.
You have a question for me?
What does it mean?
El Perreo?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. So let's reverse a second. El Perreo.
So it's just a word for dancing reggaeton.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever you
The
call it,
actual movement
Yeah.
of the dance. Like, let's say what someone would say twerking.
Yeah, okay.
We say like perreando.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
like whining.
Yeah,
Like,
whining.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Got,
like perreo would be the party.
Of
Okay.
where you whine.
got it.
Okay.
Good? Okay,
Cool.
cool. So,
Yeah.
Real
So-
street culture.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so when you had the it was nostalgic and you were thinking
yeah,
about
so I can remember the day I went out, listened to music, wasn't really having that much fun. On the car ride home, played all the old school reggaeton, had the time of my life. Didn't want to get out of the car, didn't want to get dropped off, and my friend was like, "Why don't you do this? Like, you throw parties, why don't you throw a reggaeton party?" And I'm like, okay.
yeah.
And then like the seed was planted, and we came up with the name, and yeah. So I encourage people to like dress up, and it's very much like the music that I listened to at my first house parties, like when I was in middle school. It was like us, 12 years old, perreando like someone's backyard. So, and I feel like so many people in Miami like just had the same life as me, like especially being from Kendall, like we all grew up in such a similar environment.
I grew up in
And so-
Color Ridge.
Yeah, Kendall. So
Dope.
it resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. When you say we came up with the name, do you have a team?
No, it's just me, but my friends are very supportive and heavily involved
Okay.
and have great ideas. So
And then you also said I throw parties. So what other parties did you throw? Did you mean like for work or?
no, so I had initially started a organization or creative agency with a friend of mine called the Dream Lab.
Okay.
And so we were doing a party at the Wynwood Yard called Saturday Sesh, where we would showcase different creatives, musicians, entrepreneurs, and
So on and so forth.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Just kind of wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
because to me it's like out of service, el perreo.
Yeah.
the thing. And so Simi, let's talk about the shrine and throwing these events and hitting these milestones. Did you even? Okay, so as people from Miami or with our cultures outside of Miami, but maybe even being raised here, to us it can seem like a natural exchange to have a Caribbean event. But you being in there and throwing it for your community, like, did you foresee something like that happening? Was there already Caribbean events?
There is, I mean, to be fair, there is a very lively Jamaican, Trini, Caribbean party scene that happens. However, even in that world, I find it kind of a little bit segregated. Like Jamaicans go to Jamaican events,
Okay.
hardcore Jamaican events. Trinis go to hardcore soca events, and people from smaller islands kind of get in where they fit in sometimes. And then, by nature of just, I guess, being an immigrant, I always think like diasporically.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my immigrant experience is like, you might be from Haiti, you might be from Jamaica, you might be from Nigeria or Ghana, but we all kind of have this similar experience because we're trying to navigate what it means to be black in America, but also like a foreigner and not necessarily African American.
Exactly.
And so just wanting to pool all those people who have that related experience, and the one thing that is our common denominator is that we love to dance.
Yeah.
And we all have upbeat music, so just throwing it to where we were like, the shrine, the name itself is a nod to Fela Kuti. Fela is a huge Nigerian. He essentially is the front runner for Afrobeat music, and he would he built his own kind of like stage and called it the shrine, and that's where every night he would perform and test out new material and dance. And so the name itself is a nod to Fela being a front runner in Afrobeat, a creator, and then also for like, it's also trying to let other Nigerians know, like, yeah, we did our research. We also, this is legit. You're really gonna, it's not like just some Jamaicans that are maybe, throwing a few bones here and there, no, where we did our homework.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely inclusive.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, like almost like so we see a lot when people take for the culture but don't actually give credit where credit is,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So that's cool that you did that. And Alexis, coming up on your 3 years,
Yes.
how did it feel? Like, and De La Soul was just this past Saturday. It looked like a lot of fun from the social media coverage I was seeing.
No, it was definitely, we were way over the number that I had estimated, which is always a great thing, because I think people are just looking for authentic experiences. And of course, I think everyone in the people of color experience tend to wait till the last minute as well. So that's a part of the planning process. But it was really great. It just kind of came up, and it was like, I continued to reflect on how I started and the things that I did to kind of get there. And even, the DJs that I talked to when I originally started the event, and I was speaking to someone at the event, and they were giving me the praise, and I was standing next to a fly guy, and I told him, I was like, De La Soul was an inspiration from the event that he did years ago, which was called Recess.
Okay.
And Recess was on the rooftop of the Clevelander. It was a very small underground event, but it was very casual. And after that event transitioned, there really wasn't any day events, and even that event was very small. I think the capacity there was like 100, 150 people. It was a very intimate style event. So to start De La Soul was something that, or for a day party in general in Miami, it didn't exist.
Right.
And then on top of that, I charge for my event, which is something that a lot of Miami events still don't do.
I have that in there. We'll get into that.
Yeah, so I didn't really know if people were gonna like kind of buy into it. And the first month, 11 Rooftop gave me a chance, and I came up with the idea of like, hey, can we just do a day party since you guys were basically closed during that time? And they were like, they'll try it out, and it went well. And then it just from month to month just grew. It's always, all of my events have always been very underground, word of mouth. And that's how we grow. Just take it month by month, and some months are higher than others. But I've been very blessed to have a very consistent and loyal crowd, because I think people understand what I'm trying to do and what my goal is. And, Social Exchange, De La Soul, my brunch events, it's not about me, it's about the people. And so very rarely do I ever even get up on the mic or talk or make it about Alexis, because it's not about me, it's about the people, it's about the community and having that safe space. So the entire process of creating the day party and even just being in the event space in general has just been a walk of faith, honestly, because I think for everybody, there's not a blueprint. We're just kind of creating what we wish existed. And that hope that other people think, I think this just sounds pretty cool too, and just come, because it's really difficult. And I think as people are working harder to create more and more spaces, like, we have so much room for opportunity for more, but the barrier for entry is so difficult here in Miami.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I remember Simi sharing a similar anecdote with me about having difficulty when it comes to venues. And so I want to respectfully ask if you feel that you have difficulties with venues because it's a black and I remember you
Yeah.
even dubbed it urban event.
No,
How
yeah.
you told me
Yeah.
last time.
But they use
It is.
coded language, so they're not gonna say
it's not on brand.
Or no, they'll say, "What's the demographic?"
Mm-hmm. Can you send pictures and
Yeah,
video?
yeah. Or can you send a SoundCloud of the DJ? I just want to check out his music.
I haven't
It's
gotten
like-
that question yet, but yeah, a lot of people ask for like pictures and video, which is usually code for I want to see what your crowd
Yeah.
looks like.
Okay.
I've heard it's not on brand, and it's crazy because our events are very well attended. These people spend money. We're not damaging things. We're not breaking things. I mean, you see some of these large EDM parties that are very drug infested
Oh, that's a good
and
point.
that are wild. It's okay because it's not. It's not
Say
scary to them.
what you need to
Yeah,
say.
no, it's not scary to them, and it's something that they're familiar with. And because they're not familiar with our culture, I think in the Caribbean space, I feel like they don't find reggae music to be as aggressive as hip hop music. Not all the time, but it just depends on who
However,
it is.
well, I've actually had to have this conversation with a venue owner before, and I had to kind of just. What I try and remind people is that every group of people is the same. And he happened to be, I think he was like, he was from like Puerto Rico or something, so he was Latino.
Yeah.
And I was saying to him, like, just like at if you had a Latino event, there are people who are like, they come from good homes, they're out here to spend money, and there are certain people who are gonna trash the event, and you're worried about it. Each race has their kind of group. I don't think it's fair to necessarily take a look and say like, well, this event is from one group, it's gonna be riffraffs. Like even within us, like every all people are a mirror of the same. Like that's why I like when people can kind of recognize the humanity in someone else.
Of course.
We're just like you. Just like how there might be a rough crowd of a event that's, you know, for Latinos or white people or whoever, there can be some. I admit, I know there's rough crowds with black events. However, we also have quality events with young working professionals that work hard, that want to spend money, and that would bring a lot of money to your bar. And when you kind of put it to them that way and just be like, remember, think about yourself. Always put the flashlight back on yourself. And he was like, you're right.
And
You're
I
right.
always tell people as well, like these people could be teaching your children. They could be your attorneys. They could be your doctors. These are regular, everyday professional people. I'm pretty sure at one point in time they all had a teacher of color, because a lot of people of color do teach. So you're saying that this person doesn't deserve to have a space to go and hang out because you're uncomfortable. And I think for a lot of people it's just because they're not familiar. And the word urban is such a dirty word here in Miami because of Urban Beach Weekend,
You told
Memorial
me
Day
that.
weekend.
Did
Yeah.
you change? What is it? The word they use?
So I try to use multicultural.
Multicultural.
I'll
She
have to
told me
use
she-
other code language for it, or I'll say
I say world
professionals of
music.
color.
I say, what kind of music? World music?
You have to use
That's a
these
very
things,
vague.
yeah. And that's another reason why for De La Soul one of the reasons why I went to the 90s and 2000s, because it's an era where people actually dance, but also that music isn't considered to be aggressive.
Right.
That's true.
Current hip hop is considered to be way more aggressive, and people find it very scary. And it's sad, but that's just the reality of it. So I was able to kind of pair the two, and I said, you know what, we're gonna make the best of it. I actually like that era anyway, because it's something that people can actually dance and have a good time.
And
I think
it's
even for
nostalgic.
dance hall, 90s, 2000s were just extremely busy for that genre. So it's just something that I think it's also becoming very trendy, even at Wood Tavern. That's majority of what they play. They do play a little bit of current, but people are very selective with the type of music that they play, so they don't feel like people are gonna fight.
Well,
So
and you know, I'm actually curious to know from Daniela's perspective, and I'm not sure if I expect your answer or not, because as we all know, Miami is heavily populated by Latinos. So I'm sure at most events, or most clubs that cater to Latinos are gonna be okay with playing reggaeton. But when it comes, Perreo has a more, what can I say? It's also like and urban as
Yeah,
well, like el
it
género,
is.
yeah.
género, or like the genre, the Latino urban genre. So I'm curious to know, and maybe not, but did you have any pushback when it came to your event and it being like an urban Latino event? Like, did you also have that kind of like situation?
So I got really lucky with 1306 as my
No,
venue.
they're awesome to
They're
work
super
with.
dope, yeah.
They are awesome. Yeah, plug to
Very
the shouts out to
I actually
Jake and all
work
that.
there,
Yeah.
so I'm the one
Okay.
who responds.
Oh, nice.
Say
I
that loud.
actually work there.
Okay.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
And before, like, deciding on
We are
1306,
shine at 1306.
Yeah.
I reached out to maybe 3 venues, and yeah, they just didn't respond because they're like,
What is that?
reggaeton. Because when I started my party, it was like at the start of reggaeton coming back.
Right.
So I got really lucky with the timing, because now every single club has been reggaeton.
Of course.
But yeah, I got lucky with 1306.
Okay, good. So that's a good venue. Yes,
Yeah.
you put it on.
Mhm.
Peru.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is.
There was something that Simi said earlier that I kind of want to like bring back. You were talking about how the Jamaicans go to the Jamaican events and the
Mhm.
Trinis go to the soca events.
Mhm.
Have you found it hard in each of your events to cross-pollinate cultures and make your events more diverse? So for Alexis, who throws like the De La Soul parties, from what I see on Instagram, it's a mostly black event.
Yeah.
When I see Daniela's El Perreo, it's a mostly Latino party. And then for when I see the Shrine, it's a mostly Caribbean event,
Mhm.
even though we have Caribbeans of all spectrums,
Mhm.
right? As Miamians, have you found it hard to have Latinos attend De La Soul? Have you found it hard to have the black community come out? Like, who wants to go first?
I would say, I think, because it's so funny, I looked up to the crowd and I saw a lot of Latin people more than normal. And I think if people see an event, they see the pictures, they see the promotion, they read the description, if they identify with it, they'll come.
Mhm.
And people
Mhm.
come and they feel very comfortable. I never forget, I had this large Asian group. I don't even know how they found me to this day. Had the time of their life, you know? And so they don't look like the demographic that I have in mind, but I'm all about good people and good energy. So everyone is welcome. It's just a matter of fact, if you feel comfortable and identify with what I'm doing. If you like this music, you're gonna come and you're gonna have a blast. But if you really want to hear dancehall all night or soca all night, this isn't the place for you. If you want to hear a little bit of everything, it's more of a mixed space. So like a majority of my demographic would be from the African American community as well as the Black Caribbean community. So, and then we have speckles of the Latin community and other races that may come, but a majority is for people of color, of the Black diaspora. And the reason, and not that everyone isn't welcome, because everyone is, but it's really about, I want a place where my people feel beautiful, they feel like they belong. Because I meet so many people that like, I finally feel like I belong here. And that, it's a beautiful thing, but it hurts, because it's like, man, like, people go places and they don't feel like they belong, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Daniela, has it been hard for you to cross-pollinate El Perreo, even because of the name El Perreo is very Latino?
So yeah, I mean, obviously it's a party dedicated to reggaeton, which is Spanish music. But with the branding that I do, it's very Miami centric
Got
and nostalgic.
It is.
So exactly like she said, like people resonate with the branding and that feeling and
And the music.
for sure. And it's about the vibe and the energy. Also, there's a lot of people who go to my party that I know that they don't speak Spanish, but they love reggaeton, and I don't think that's my doing. I think that it's a really amazing thing with reggaeton that it's like cross borders, and people like J Balvin like doesn't have to sing in English in order to be played here. So yeah,
Shout out
it's
to J Balvin, I love him. He's Colombian. Like,
husband.
and Simi,
As far as our attendance
yeah, as far as your attendance and cross
and diversity, well, the entire concept of the shrine was to try to create a diverse atmosphere where it's like we're playing African music, soca, which comes from either Trinidad or Barbados, dancehall, and then we sprinkle in compa music from Haiti, and sometimes we even play some reggaeton. But luckily with the timing of it too, I guess when you said you had reintroduced El Per, to help me?
Perreo.
Oh, Perreo. Okay, I'm not getting it. When she reintroduced it, reggaeton was on the upswing again. Well, not same thing, but we came out early on with the shrine, and Afrobeat was kind of foreign.
Yeah.
And then within that time, Afrobeat has really blown up and resonated with a lot of people. And the thing I think that makes, because I do notice in our crowd is very diverse. Well, one, the Caribbean is diverse. So like that pulls in, we have a large Chinese population, Indian population. We have Latinos who like to dance that come out like, you know,
reggaeton, isn't it a partly a derivative of reggae?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why everything kind of ties in, because dancehall lends itself to reggaeton and all that stuff, and then Afrobeat is so, when you look at just like African music, the drums, that drum pattern is present
It's
in
in
Latin,
our salsa.
in exactly.
Merengue,
It's present in rap.
We
It's
get
present in
music
salsa.
from
So it's such an easy transition music that we do have a very diverse crowd. But with that being said, it was created for the Black diaspora specifically in mind, to have a safe space and feel celebrated. But just through the nature of the music, and then this side of the world being so mixed, and like, you know, people in the Latino community who may not be of Black descent, Afro-Latino descent, but the music is so heavily African influenced, they feel comfortable to come to the event. So yeah.
Absolutely. I don't have to listen, and even though I do like put dance hall and I change up my Spotify playlist, I don't have to listen to it all the time to immediately recognize the beats in it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because my wife was asking me like, we were listening to salsa, and she was like, baby, like, where does salsa really come from? And I'm like, baby, the Africa. And she's like, really? I'm like, yes. And she's like, oh, okay. You know, because she's Dominican, so they listen to bachata, even though obviously she's Afro-Latina and they're Afro-Latinos. So and we have Afro-Latinos, you know how you said the Black diaspora. We have Colombia too. So we
for sure, in Cartagena.
In Cartagena, and all of that are coast. So, you know, one thing that I loved about the shrine when I first went, and full disclosure, the only party I have attended from all these three is the shrine. Yeah, I couldn't go to yours, Daniela, because the line was around the block, which is really great. And I was like,
shouts to you.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, her party was around the block. So I was like, I'm not sending you like this. And for your events, it's always like I said, like always
it was
for
crazy
weekend.
It was super busy this weekend.
But when I went to the shrine, one of the things that I loved the most was feeling like inclusive, and I literally was like, oh great, like finally I get to go have a different night where I get to listen to different music and see a bunch of different people, which are people I see all the time in Miami, but like it's like going to a house party. Like I'm gonna finally see how like this community gets to party.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to get into, and what I love so much about the shrine and Usimi is that, so you're all three women that curate events here in our city, right? And parties and you're great hosts. And one of the things that I loved about the shrines to me was that you would wait in line, wait at the door and greet the people as they were coming in. And at the time we didn't know each other. Like you didn't even know anything about me, but you greeted me and you were like, hey, welcome. Like I felt like she knew who I was, and I'm like, she doesn't know who I am. And then later on as the nights continued, I was saying this earlier, another night, it was like a summer night and it was so hot. And she started taking out like fans from like plastic, like, and started handing them out to like the different women. And we were all like dying because we're dancing and sweating. And so I want to talk about, as women, how you curate an experience for women at your events, all three of you, right?
I think I always try, first and foremost, when I'm planning an event, I still very much keep the experience of when I used to be the person attending the event. Like, so that's why I was able to think ahead and be like, okay, I remember a hot summer night when I was melting in the club, and it'd be great to have a fan. And I make sure that I am welcoming, because I think when we were talking even before, just prepping for the interview, I was telling you that for a long time I feel like Miami took pride in this nightlife culture of exclusivity. They took pride in being very like, oh, y'all can come in, but she can't. No, at least she gets to go outside. Or no, girl, you better have this outfit or have this, or we have to be at this time or we're not getting in. And I think it's almost disgusting that we're celebrating that exclusivity. What? We're one of the most diverse places in America, and we're shrinking everybody onto one standard size of what's attractive and what's allowed to be part.
In line all night.
Yeah, it's
not
right.
$40 a head to get in.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I feel like it's a level of almost disrespect to the customer.
Yeah, no, for
like,
sure.
You don't appreciate me. Like when you go to other cities, like, you know, I don't mind paying if it's $20 or whatever. I'd rather pay to know I can go to have a good time, that I can walk to the door, I can pay, and I can go through and not have any issues. I can begin my night, rather than burning out my heel time standing in line, you know. And by the time you come in, you're angry, you're out of breath, you're frustrated, and you feel already disrespected when you come in. So I think when you do that, it creates a really bad energy, and so, which I think translates into the energy of a lot of the nightclubs on South Beach.
Yes.
And which is why they're continuing to struggle, because people want a place for good energy. You would think by now that they would look at Wynwood and see that it's inclusive, it's welcoming, it's fun, and they haven't got it yet. They're still doing the same crap they were doing in the prime time, which is long lines. You know, you have to wear something, you have to look a certain way, you can't be too heavy, you can't be this, you can't be that, you can't be too black, and it's sad. It's really, really sad, and I just don't think we should support places like that, because I think everybody has a variety of friends or people that they know they work with, and to think of someone that you care about that they can't get into the club because of how they look.
Yeah.
In 2019. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, well, that's where that whole welcoming, to piggyback on what Alexis said, that nature that I've taken up is that I don't even like the way that we've kind of fueled the female population in Miami to be so competitive against each other. Like, I remember growing up here and, like, it would be a big deal to even, like, get a compliment out of a girl. And it's like, why are we at each other's necks? Where is this rivalry coming from? So I make sure that, first and foremost, the energy that I greet other women with is friendly. Because I want to disarm them immediately.
Exactly.
Because you may have had a bad experience with other people before, and this and that, but you're not going to have that experience with me, because that's not what I'm about, and I make it very clear, and that's the energy I greet you with, so that even if you were having, I can it can reciprocate, because I don't even want it to, like, I don't want to be on a pedestal. I don't want to, that's the girl that does this. Oh yeah, and people can barely talk to me or reach me. I'm very accessible. Everybody knows that. If you slide in my DM, I'm gonna answer that. Wait, I didn't mean it that way. I mean about relevant, not, you know what I mean, about relevant things. Get that. Or you ask me where I bought my clothes, I will tell you.
Yeah.
Nothing is a secret, and I want people to know that. There's nothing cool about exclusivity, actually.
Yeah.
It's quite cruel.
Yeah. And as women, like, you know, perpetrating something like that is not something that I see in any of your events. And Daniela, like, I was looking at the Instagram, and I even saw that like 90s and like 2000s like attire is encouraged. And on one of the posts I saw, I don't know if you guys ever had like these chonga moments, but I did, like the Chinese slippers.
We were just talking about those at the beach yesterday.
Yeah, I had it like in every color, and I saw that like it was something like a post, like it was like a bunch of different like Chinese slippers, and I was like, you know what, like that's not that bad. Like you go, you party, and you know you're gonna be
comfortable.
You're gonna be comfortable. but like talking
soft.
about like thinking about the women that party and like having like curating a good experience for women, you know, like making sure that women feel like respected and feel safe. Like, so one of the queens of our reggaeton genre, Ivy Queen, has that song Yo Quiero Bailar.
Yeah, no.
And in that song, she's exactly saying, like, you know, she's basically saying, like, tonight I'm gonna go perrear, or I'm gonna whine, or I'm gonna twerk, or I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna do whatever feels good, but on my terms, and that doesn't mean that I'm gonna sleep with you. And so even at an event like El Perreo, where you know you're there to perrear and kind of like leave jeans stains on the wall type of thing, you're gonna party comfortably, and you're gonna party in a safe environment. And I saw that there was so many women that go to El Perreo. Was that like on purpose, or?
Like I said, I started it without really thinking. I just wanted to throw a party. And I think because of like the intention was so pure behind it, it's evolved into like such a safe space for people, and people like ask for it. Like it's the only place where they feel comfortable to perrear.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's just like it's known, and like any girl can go and do whatever they want, and they don't owe anyone anything. And it's like such a space of like liberation, and it's just so, I don't know how it happened, but it's definitely something that I'm trying to work on to make it even more pronounced, because with reggaeton and the Latin culture, there's a lot of machismo and just trying to get rid of like objectifying women in that environment. So
so times like even our music objectifies women, and I'm the first one dancing to like a good Bad Bunny song, and I'm like, I'm consciously making the decision to dance to this song.
I don't speak Spanish.
Exactly.
Same thing with
I think
Jamaican.
all music is like that. Yeah. It's just, you know.
And speaking about these events, I kind of want to go back to, because I think that as people of color, as women of color, right, in our communities, we are known for being festive and for throwing parties. And I kind of want to go around and maybe ask some of you, like, what were like house parties or family parties or these type of events growing up for you? Did you have them? Did you not have them? And like, how did that influence of like nostalgic house parties or family parties take you now to what an idea of a good party is in your life now?
I know in South Day when I grew up, there was a lot of block parties and a lot of house parties. Most of the block parties and house parties that my mom the areas that my mom would allow me to go to where
You said
Particu-
block parties?
yeah, like literally
Okay.
would block off the street. They don't. I don't think they do. I don't think they can legally do that anymore. The Richmond Heights areas, the Colonial Drive, and like certain areas of like Perreo, or if I went down to like Cutler Ridge, which is the area that I grew up in. There were other areas that were a little bit more rough, and my mom was like, "Nah, you're good." And I used to get so upset, and then when I finally like got old enough to like drive by, I was like, "Okay, I don't miss anything." But my mom grew up in Richmond Heights, which is a historically Black community in South Dade, and so that was, I think, a big part of how we grew up. So the house party thing and the block parties were really big. My family doesn't really party too much per se, but just in regards to the energy and the fun and seeing that familiar face, I think is a big thing with probably all of our events. You see a lot of the same people and loyal followers, so it becomes kind of like family. There was funny enough, 2 girls. They had a hookah, and I needed to like move them over to sit at a table. And there were some guys that I've seen around. I've seen them all the time, and some of them I follow. And I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna sit you guys next to them." I was like, "They're really nice. Like, you know, I was like, you guys are gonna have a great time." And they were just like, "Okay," because they're kind of like nervous. Like, I'm sitting next to these random guys, and the guy came up and picked up her hookah and helped her move, and I greeted her and shared some of his drinks with her, and it was just really cool. And like, they don't even look like they would be people that would even naturally just talk to each other. And so to be able to have like that just cool, warm feeling where everyone is continuing to pass that positive energy, I think it's great. Like what Samim was saying, I can't work my door anymore because I have to do other things. But when I originally started, I was at the door, and my door girls, they do an amazing job of disarming people and passing that great energy and just being really nice and being accommodating. Even if you have to say no, you can say no with a smile. You don't have to be rude or mean or anything like that. Or even when I have to tell people no on things, it's like this last Saturday, I'm like, "No, our tables are sold out. I can't, but I can do this," you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's, it doesn't cost you anything to be nice and to be kind and to be loving. And around the whole like women experience, I think women are so loyal. They're just amazing. And so even when I look at my numbers, I'm 60% women and 40% men.
Okay.
You know, so I think it's important to make sure that women are happy and feel comfortable too. So.
Yeah, I mean, even for me in having an event like, I mean, a show like tonight, I'm here like, I'm an event thrower too.
Yes, it's a party.
It's a party right now, but I was like, I'm looking at these different women that may or may not know each other. I'm glad that you do, and even at this point now are coming together. So, but you're doing similar things, right? In different demographics for different parts of our culture. But what definitely interested me in all 3 of you was that you all very much 3 care so much about your communities, but not at the cost of making other people feel excluded. And earlier we had talked about prices, and we had talked about like it's $30 or $40 a head, but there's nothing like spending your money when it comes to anything, and you're like, wow, like I paid for that food, but that was a great dish, and I'm supporting this great restaurant. Or I got my nails done, and that man, she does my manicure, my pedicure so good. Like I don't mind spending that money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like spending money and feeling like, dang, like I just wasted that, like I'm being disappointed, right? So for some of these events, El Perreo is RSVP and it's free for now. Or you can correct me if I'm wrong.
It's free before 12. Now.
Before 12. And I think Simi, for your events too, is similar, something like that.
Yeah,
$10
we should do like limited free RSVPs, and once those are done, then we charge.
And it's how much for
15.
15?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Alexis.
When I first started, I did a lot of free RSVPs, but because of the capacities of the spaces that I use, I had to change my financial model. So now we start tickets at $10, and then they go all the way up to $20, $25, and then the day of, if I have anything left, then we'll figure it out from there. But
Okay.
it just ranges. So if you follow us, you're loyal, you'll grab less than $10 tickets. If not, if you wait to the last minute, it's gonna be $20, $25. But I think it's still worth it. There isn't anything in the magnitude and size as of right now. There are other day parties that are really amazing. They're a lot more intimate, kind of like when I started, but what we do, there isn't anything like it here. So it's kind of like you're paying for something that you can't
No, it's
get
unusual
anywhere.
experience
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And Daniela, you too, like when you were thinking about doing these events and thinking of like if you were going to charge or not charge, and what people were going to pay, I feel like as a Miamian, and in a way, like I feel like I've been spoiled. So I'm very much like of the support local. So even if like it's a friend, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this money in there because I would want them to support me if I had an event like that. It's just you reciprocate that energy.
Yeah.
But other times when it comes to other events in Miami, it just doesn't make sense to pay because you're like, why would I pay for this event when I could go to a community event that's gonna have great music, a great band. I'm gonna have a great time. Most likely see people that I know. So when gauging these free or ticketed experiences, like even for you, Daniela, like what made you think, okay, I'm gonna do some free and some? Was it just to grow the event in the beginning, or like how'd you make that choice?
From the first event that I threw, we mentioned this earlier, but when I create events, like what I have in my mind is what I see from events, what I like, what I don't like, and I make sure that what I'm doing is something that I would like from an event that I go to. And I'm always someone that doesn't want to pay cover.
Yeah.
So I always did free events. Obviously, I know when you're having to pay for an artist or you're supporting an artist, like, yeah, you have to pay, and that's what it is, and I'm fine to do that. But I didn't need to, and so all of my events were free. Then Perreo got bigger, and everyone was like, you need to start charging. So I always offer free with RSVP. So yeah, again, if you're following me, if you are on Instagram supporting me, it's always going to be free if you're RSVPing. And if you're not, and you're a random person, like, thank you so much, but it's going to be $10.
Yeah. And same for you, Simi, like throwing these events with them.
Yeah. Initially, I believe maybe the first shrine may have been completely free. I don't know, but as it grows, as any event grows, your costs also grow. So to be able to afford some, like we don't always do it, but a lot of times we like to have DJ MoMA, who is a part of Everyday People, come. And when you want someone who is like an elite DJ like that, and you want someone to come, there's cost. So to be able to give you that great experience, to cover it, we do have to charge. But it's very much just to be able to cover what we want. It's not necessarily to say, yeah, I'm balling off of
And like, this is not to say, like, it's not a crime
to
charge, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're charging...
No, also, I believe in the experience. It's
if you believe somebody
it's
a good
unique.
Experience, that's different.
It's very unique.
You really can't get the shrine experience anywhere else.
Yeah,
exactly. So like, but like my brunch is free. You just RSVP and you just pay for what you eat, or if you just want to have mimosas, then you have that.
That makes sense. That's
that
cool.
you kind of pick. I try to have a variety of events where it can be at entry level. So if you're a person that doesn't like to pay to get in, but you come to the brunch and you see, hey, I like this, then I'll go to the next event, or vice versa. Or, so I also, like, I understand everybody's in different financial spaces. Miami is a very tough city to live and work and play in.
Facts.
So I want to be fair with that. And I think even for the KGM Shrine and everything I've seen, it's the same things, the same energy. So that's really dope.
Simi, what's up?
You had asked the question about my parents and
growing up. And
they have a very active social life. When they were younger, they were avid partiers. Like, so I grew up in a household that was like, music was always played. We were dancing. Their friends like are still doing house parties even in their old age, and reminiscing about when they were at the club. And like my parents met at the club.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like my mom was like, he kept trying to talk to me, but I was like, I don't want to talk to him. And then I saw other no, she said she saw other girls liking him, and then she was like, ooh. I was like, what? It's a sham. This entire relationship is based on clout. Other women like him. Yeah. She's like, for weeks he was trying to like. Then I saw other girls like, going crazy for him. I was like, oh no, I talked to him. We're dating. I was like, you're a psycho.
She marked him.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that back because I wasn't sure if everyone wanted to talk about.
No, but they have a very active social life. So I grew up in that, like, with them being like that, and even to the point where there was like this nightclub that they always used to frequent in Kingston called Epiphany, and they have like a group of friends where they like all were like the Epiphany crew, and to where they were such a foundation like group of people that would frequent that nightclub. They had like VIP cards where they could go to like a different room in Epiphany, and there'd be refreshments and food. And so growing up and hearing those cool stories and hearing about it, but being like, dang, that happened in Jamaica. Is that possible to have that kind of fun and that pure just like enjoyment of going out and dancing with your friends? Is that possible here? And that's always what I strive for, to just have that kind of free, open, pure natured fun. I find that sometimes you find in other places sometimes, and sometimes maybe in America we're kind of bogged down with like bills and life. In Jamaica it's like, yo, street dance. Let's go.
And even like coming back to what you were saying earlier, Alexis, about like Miami could be such a hard city to
Yes.
like even. So sometimes you're like, and of course as you get older, things change and hopefully get better for you. But there's plenty of times where, as a youngin, I would go out and I'm like, dang, I can't even get like a $5, $10 water bottle at one of these clubs because that's the parking that I paid to get here, and I'm with my girls. And it's like, if she drove, I paid for parking. If I drove, she paid for parking. Daniela, how about you? Now that we brought that back, like, how was growing up as a Latina and party culture, family culture?
It's pretty funny because I'm like the least, like you would never guess that I'm the one who throws like the girl.
Yeah.
Never. My family is not a party family at all. The only time we get together to do that is like Christmas and New Year's, and it's like only my mom dancing and that's it. But El Perreo is founded on nostalgia from my first house parties in middle school, and that's where I got my inspiration from. And it's just supposed to be like funny, like that's what like drives me to do more. It's just like cracks me up, like coming up with all these ideas and the things that you would do when you were little.
And you're Colombian and
Ecuadorian.
Oh, cool. I was gonna say Ecuadorian. Ecuadorian. So for me, growing up and like house parties and family parties, we would go to other people. So like our godparents or like my aunts or I grew up with a single mom and my sister, so it was kind of small. But I did grow up like with my mom always playing salsa and teaching me how to dance and teaching my sister how to dance. And that was like a big part of my childhood. So
dancing with her
and her teaching me
because
how to
those
dance.
are, you don't realize it, but those are moments you're kind of bonding with your parents, and you're also learning kind of social skills
and your culture.
Your culture. There are a lot of times where my dad was like sitting me down and walking me through reggae history and just be like, yo, listen to the lyrics, listen to this, and you're bonding with them. That's like what it,
and also like how you were saying those cultural things, because then you go to house parties and you're like Tio or your tia or someone wants to dance and you're like, so it comes, and like I don't know for other cultures, but Latino songs sometimes like a salsa song is like 12 minutes long and you're like, oh my god, I'm stuck here doing this. So I want to talk about like different venues or different maybe groups of people or different people that have been in place to really to guide you and to support you in Miami. We earlier mentioned like 1306 as a great venue, or maybe other colleagues that you want to shout out that are doing what you do, other DJs maybe, kind of like bringing all that in. And even so, how I told you earlier, all of you being here today is opening up your networks for other things. You never know, maybe she knows a venue and a venue doesn't come through for you, and
vice versa. It's all about the relationships.
For sure.
That's one of the biggest things I think in this industry is that to find good people, because there's a lot of crappy people in the entertainment space. So to find good people with good intentions are great, and they're always there. You may get a lot of no's, and I always say you only need one yes. So you have to just keep knocking until somebody, like the person that allowed us at 11, she is a white woman from Las Vegas, and I didn't think in a million years she would be like, okay, we'll try, and so, and even her like making a chance, like some of her like managers were like, what the hell is this? So when they saw them, and they're like, okay, and they were really nervous, and it grew into a very beautiful relationship. We were there at 11 Rooftop for 2 years until the city of Miami ran us out of there at code enforcement. They don't have events on the rooftop anymore, but they should be opening up soon. They're going to be reconstructing, but 11 Rooftop is a very beautiful place. And after we went to Zest in downtown Miami, which is a restaurant, and they weren't open on Saturdays and Sundays. So it worked out perfect because we were able to come in and kind of create revenue and create value when they were closed. And they are a minority-owned restaurant. The owner is Jamaican, and the chef is she's white American. Okay. But they were really, really dope. And now we're over at the Magic Innovation District for right now. And I know there's a lot of negative energy around the Magic Innovation District, but I do feel like they're trying to open up their doors for events of color. There's been a lot of events over there.
Is that Magic City like Little Haiti area or? Yeah. Okay.
The whole conversation on gentrification and things of that sort. And I've done events. I saw at the Marseille Hotel on South Beach. We did our pool party there last fall. And I have another hotel that I'm meeting with tomorrow that seems to be, really open and interested. So there are a lot of amazing event spaces that are willing. There's more that are not willing than are willing, but the ones that are willing they're really dope, and I feel like they're forever going to be blessed because they decided to do something different and to take a chance. So I think, those are pretty dope.
And there's two sentiments that come to mind hearing you explain this. One of them is the sentiment of it almost shouldn't be one of those things where it's like, can you please let us in type of thing, but it unfortunately can be like that, especially for communities of color, our Black communities here in Miami. And the other sentiment that I get is just from your persona, your attitude toward business and in life. And you said something earlier that also made sense to me. You said when there's things that like you need to accommodate someone at your party, and you said, I can't do this for you right now, but let me tell you what I can do. And so hearing you explain what you just said also makes me think that what you just said, like, you're very almost like inventive. I don't know if inventive is the word, or you find a way, right? So there's kind of like the woman that you are shows me that even if they told you, no, we can't do this, you wanted to find a way. Like, I know you told me no about this, but let's throw a day party. Or I know you told me no about a weeknight, but let's do a weekend. And it's so great that you have that attitude.
As an entrepreneur, you and I think it's a great feeling to have for life, but as an entrepreneur for sure, and even when people come to me and they ask for things, they want things, it's like, how am I going to benefit from this, right? And so when you go to a venue, how are they going to benefit from this? Like, especially if they really don't need your business, and being able to say, hey, well, we're going to create a diverse and inclusive environment. We're going to bring new people that may have never even known that your venue space is here, or we're going to create an event when you're not busy. So, because if you come to somebody at their prime time, like, I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are, I feel like they'll be like, no, unless they really just like you and they want to work with you or they know you or whatever.
Right.
So I think as an entrepreneur, just thinking outside the box, even with your radio show, being able to create the environment and create the space that you want. And I don't know, it's something that I've always just tried to think outside of the box. And I was an analyst, I was an accountant before I got into the event space. So even with like an accounting, like even though it's a very straight line logistic, but sometimes like when numbers aren't working, you have to figure out how to like move things around to make it work. And I think that same transferable skill like transferred over into like the event space. So like just trying to figure out how to like make the costs work, and the costs have to work because I'm not going to do it if the costs don't work, but figuring out what can I move around, if it's a DJ or the time or the venue, or just changing things or creating or figuring out how to create more revenue to cover the costs that I have. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also when throwing events and making it like profitable so you can continue doing these things. Daniela, for you, is there any venues or any DJs or anyone that has been very instrumental in helping you get to where you are that you want to shout out here in your city?
I've just been working with the same people. I feel like I found a good crowd, and we just continue like with Pasmal, Coffin Tex, and like Half Full, and all of them, and 1306.
Awesome. And Simi, for you, I know we talked about how you hadn't done a shrine in a while, and I know the KGN does the weekly Wednesday event.
Dubwise, it's Jason. Yeah. Well, as far as you're asking me who would I shout out or what venues, first and foremost, I definitely need to give huge big ups and props to Jason Panton and Adam Alexander. Specifically them, because
they're DJs?
Jason is he organizes Dubwise. He's a graphic designer. He also DJs. He's a jack of all trades. He's the one with the dreadlocks.
Yeah, I know him.
And then Silent Addy, the DJ, and also does event curation. But when I first started ever doing events, it wasn't even necessarily a nightlife thing. I was doing like these natural
I did a lunch party for that.
Yeah,
I remember that. Oh my God,
yeah. That's part of the reason why I probably always planned for the female experience, because my entrance into this event curation life was for women. It was these female natural hair meetups, and I wanted to do like an event where like natural women could come. They would get like these swag bags with product giveaways and listen to like neo soul music and some like Lauryn Hill and some older hip hop. Create something that had never happened before, and had like vendors who made like handmade soaps and just had like this kind of like festival kind of atmosphere. And it was the first time I hadn't done anything with anybody ever. And I had went to a few people. We know people in common who do events, and I had went to them. And the only people who were willing to take a risk on me were Jason and Addie. Everyone else was like, so you want to invite girls out for hair? You think that's gonna work?
Yeah. It was actually becoming really popular at the
but
time.
What the thing is that I know the buying power of the black woman.
Of course.
That's undeniable.
Yeah.
So you should be gambling on getting black women out
actually,
to
yeah.
spend the money.
Because they're gonna buy.
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna
we're
be
all-
doing
yeah.
advance.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
We're
gonna
an
plan.
economic force.
Yeah.
So, and they were the only ones who I came to them with the idea, and they were like, "Yo, that sounds great, dope." Addie helped me with the venue. Jason did the graphics for it, and then from there, KGN started, and that's why I work with them in KGN.
KGN is like the collective.
The collective, yeah.
Like what out of service would be
Yeah,
for
the collective.
Daniela, or what social exchange.
And we're like
would be for
hashtag
Alexis.
Caribbean cool. And 1306 has Jake from 1306. The entire everybody at 1306 has been accommodating. Raul, with Sidebar, which is now Inside Out, has always been accommodating. I have to give them props. Neil, he's a videographer. And DJ, always willing to work with us. So there's certain people that I find that are willing to put their money and gamble with women. I also work with a woman, Janine. She has an amazing eye. She does creative direction. She's helped me create a lot of the things that we do for KGN, and just like, but those specific men though, at least having them like take a chance to gamble on me, I'm always going to be indebted to them, because they didn't have to necessarily gamble on a girl. Why am I going to help her? How did helping me benefit? And they always have, and it's given me a huge platform.
So if you're out there listening, make sure to look some of these people up,
Mhm.
hire them, so we can continue as communities of color to throw events like this.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5 minutes left of the show, Simi, but before we tie it and wrap it up, I did want to bring up something that I noticed at your event in particular. I'm not sure if De La Sol has done this yet, or even El Perreo, but one thing that I love from the Shrine, which is the event that I've attended, is that there's an area to party and to dance, but there's also a vendor area where you're able to purchase goods from people of color.
That comes from me with on natural, the natural hair meetup things I was just referencing. It was also had a whole element to it where vendors. It's just basically giving small business, startups, black business, like visibility. You know what I'm saying? It's more than posting a hashtag, oh, buy black, but you don't do it.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna give you an
opportunity
opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Like, please do it, because it helps everyone. It's not about just only black people buying black. When everyone invests in small business, community business, the community thrives.
Of course.
Period.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So just creating points of contact. I'm very big on taking my platform and building and giving other people platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what you mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, what I wanted to say about that was that I really love that, because when I've been to the Shine events, there's different tables, and like some of it is like a lot of Ankara, like scarves and like
head wraps and like
wraps and things like
bangles
that,
and
jewelry
handmade leather
and-
slippers and
Authentic.
yeah.
Yes, it's very authentic, and as someone
Evelyn Ankara Miami handles that. She's amazing too. Shout out to Evelyn. She has, because of that, just dealing with and her focus and dedication towards Ankara Miami, she now has a brick and mortar store in downtown Hollywood. So check her out. She handles all of getting those small African businesses, and she actually year round has those fashions available to you. She has like swimwear prints, 2-piece suits,
I know because in the past I've interviewed her, because I've covered her. I think I'm not sure which publication I wrote about her for, but I've covered
she
her.
did Ankara Fashion Week.
And I went to Ankara Fashion Week. But
She
as
is
someone
really
who,
dope.
Yes, she is.
as someone like me who's Latina, who might not be of the culture, like as a Caribbean person, because I'm Colombian, I still consider myself of the culture, but not particularly Jamaican or of the Caribbean. I still feel like when I go to these events and I can see small businesses like that, and I also have the opportunity to dance there and to support like a small business, or buy a ring, or you know, buy something that I can wear and represent. I love that you did that, and I love that you put that vision out there, because then you see other women, small businesses as well, and you have the opportunity to support them. And so I want to ask you all if you have any upcoming events or anything that people can attend or stay tuned for here in Miami.
Actually, April 20th, we are hosting South Florida's first Black Restaurant Food Festival. We've identified 75 Black-owned restaurants in Miami, Broward County, as well as West Palm. All of them will not be participating, but we do intend to create a green book to let people know where these Black establishments are, and that doesn't even include food trucks, also just actual brick and mortar restaurants. And so it's been a very interesting experience, because you always hear there's no Black-owned things here. And they are. Some of them are small, some of them are big, but beginning to not only just say to support and buy black, but to kind of put our money and our time and our efforts and our energy, where our mouth is in regards to that. So that event is coming up on 4/20. It'll be from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a semi-family friendly event. There'll be an adults area, a Munchies Lounge area where we'll have black-owned CBD doctors, vendors, and things of that sort to educate and provide opportunity around the medical marijuana space. It's going to be at the Urban, which is actually a venue I should shout out. They are a brand new black-owned urban. It's called the Urban Black-owned event space in the historic Overtown area. They are a part of the beginning efforts of the historic entertainment district, and Urban Philanthropies, which is the owner of that company. It's a nonprofit. I was in their entrepreneurship boot camp. I won first place for their pitch night.
Okay.
So I won that about 2 years ago. I won $10,000, which was really able to help me launch my business. I was able to buy event furniture and different furnitures and fixings where, like, wherever I go, I can kind of create that lounge environment. So all the furniture you see at my events, I own that. Yes, and it was because of that program. So I'm forever indebted to them. So they're a really dope event space. They're open for business. The space is huge. It's basically like a bigger version of basically a bigger version of Wynwood Yard.
Okay.
It is in Overtown, which is right south of Wynwood.
Okay.
And
tell us how people can stay in touch with you,
like
your
on social exchange.
media.
Yeah. Instagram, website, Facebook, Social Exchange with an X, Miami. And then that will lead you to everything that we're doing. So we put everything there. We have other events pages, but yeah.
Beautiful. Daniela, do you have any upcoming events with Out of Service or El Perreo you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be collabing with FemPower for their Black
Love
Mama's
Helen.
Day.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're doing a Black Mama's Day bailout event. So it's an 8-week fundraiser leading up to Mother's Day where they're doing different happy hours every week with the proceeds going to bailing moms out of jail.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to be doing an event at Inside Out, which used to be known as Sidebar, April 17th.
Okay. And how can people stay in touch with you on social media?
My Instagram is Out of Service Miami, and that's all I have.
Awesome. Beautiful. And then Simi, any upcoming events with the KGN or how people can stay in touch via social media for updates maybe?
As far as keeping up to date, definitely if you'd like to just keep up with me personally, at Simi the Teacher, at Simi the Teacher. Event updates at the KGN and at Bashment TV. Still working on trying to organize a date for Shrine. I know there's a high demand for it and it's very much on the forefront of my priority list. In the meantime, I've been working with Adam and Bashment team. April 20th at Gramps after Kaya Fest. Like that Bob Marley, his sons have a festival at Bayfront Park. That will be the after party on April 20th on Gramps. And then Memorial Day weekend, the Saturday, Bashment is going to be doing a block party in Wynwood with a collective from Jamaica called Panda Plaza that do like a very, very authentic dancehall experience. I guess it'd be like a Perreo. Yeah, like a street dance. So look out for that. That's going to be in Wynwood as well. So April 20th and the Saturday, I believe it's May 25th. With the Saturday of Memorial Weekend, we have that coming up. And then as far as Shrine, you got to follow the KGN to find out when we're going to do it. So at the KGN.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for being here. Tune back in on Monday, April 22nd for a new episode of Meet Them Mondays. We'll be talking about gun and gang violence in Miami. Follow us on social media at Meet Them Mondays. I'm your host, Cristian Portilla, on IG at Run Free Rights. And if you like what you hear, then share an episode with your friends or support the Meet Them Mondays mission. We would really appreciate a Patreon contribution. Head to patreon.com/Run Free Rights or subscribe on Apple Podcasts and listen on any podcast streaming platforms. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Peace. Thank you all so much. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to the Facebook Live. If you want to, or if you missed this live, you can head to runfreerights.com after. Thank you all, ladies, so much. Give me some good juju vibes.
Thank you.
That was
Yes.
great. Thank you, John.
That was great.
Oh,
Thank you.
there's a